Okay, here we go. Welcome, folks. Thanks so much for attending. I think this is the 16th, maybe? Mondays with Mooch. My name's Joe Muccioli. I'm the artistic director for the Jazz Arts Project, nonprofit organization, which for almost 15 years has been presenting and honoring jazz with world class concerts and high level education programs. I'm going to introduce our guest in just a minute, but first things first. Thank you to all our donors and supporters and sponsors. This year, Ocean First is our Platinum Program sponsor. Many thanks to them for their continuing support. You know, in a virtual world, of distancing and stay at home and safe, and of parking lot dining and online concerts, we tend to learn a lot of new things. I know. What have we learned? I know it's not over, but is it too soon to laugh at ourselves? What have we learned? We've learned just how small our homes actually are, right? Until we have to clean it, then we learn just what the cleaning lady used to do. Some of us learned to make killer cocktails. I've even learned to make my own liqueurs. And if you do laundry every day, you figure out you only need really two pairs of sweats. You can alternate. We've learned what curves are. I could have told you that. But then we learned we had to flatten them. I had no clue. We can now tell what 6 feet or more or less is in distance from someone. And no matter how much time we have at home with nothing to do, still the basement won't be cleaned out. We used to have wannabe pop stars and crooners singing their hearts out in front of a microphone on Facebook or YouTube. Now, it's Yo Yo Ma and Vladimir Ashkenazi playing concerts from their living rooms with a link to a tip jar in the comments. We've certainly learned to order takeout. I ordered Chinese the other day, and I ordered Tsung Pao chicken and egg foo young just to see which came first. You know, son of a gun, they both came at the same time. I don't know why I'm ranting. I'm just in a weird mood, and let's. It's about time to get on with our guests, who I'm very happy to have this evening. You know, I hope by now those of you who've been with us for a little while or for many years, you understand that when we say we're presenting world class musicians to our events, we really mean it. It is true that these folks that have graced our stages and now our virtual Zoom rooms are just like the best of the best, the cream of the crop. We are so lucky to be able to introduce them and have them perform when that does happen. And I'm always thrilled. And tonight's guest is no exception. Vince Ector is a good friend and a great performer and a dedicated educator as well. I've known him for several years. I think we started. I met him on something or other up in North Jersey. Vince is basically a Renaissance man of music, I should say. As a performer, he's a percussionist and drummer. He's worked with everybody: Freddie Hubbard, Gloria Lynn, Lou Donaldson, Hank Jones, James Moody, Slide Hampton, Ben E. King, Ron Carter, Bobby Watson, Randy Weston, Claudio Roditi, Kenny Barron, and on and on and on and on. As you know, this is a world traveler with played with the greats. He's also a dedicated educator. He's currently professor of jazz percussion at Princeton University, and as well as New Jersey State Council on the Arts approved teaching artists with permanent status for clinicians in Rutgers, the University of the Arts in Philadelphia, and colleges and universities all over the world. He's also on the faculty of the NJ Pack Jazz for Teens program, and He is the founder and president and executive director of a nonprofit called Arts for Kids. We have some things in common right there to talk about, certainly. That organization provides workshops, performances, and professional development in music, dance, drama, visual arts, and technology for schools and community based organizations in New York and New Jersey. Vince has several albums under his own name as leader, including Rhythm Master on Blues Leaf Records, Renewal of Spirit on Mambo Maniacs Records, Organatomy on American Showplace Music, and most recently Theme for Ms. P, American Showplace Music also. This is 2019. Of course, he's been on as a sideman on dozens and dozens and dozens of others' recordings. I've talked enough, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, please welcome my buddy, Vince Ector.
Hey, Mooch. Thank
Hey,
you.
hey, Vince, where are you? There you are.
I'm in my basement, but I'm hiding it with my screensaver in the back, which is really
I
nice. And so
had
you
a great had a great picture.
haven't seen my basement yet. That was great, Mooch. Thanks for the
Well,
introduction.
that's your album behind you, right?
It is. It's my latest disc
You
that
stand behind your album.
I stand behind it and in front of it too.
It's such a pleasure to have you, man.
Thank you so much, man. It's such a great pleasure to be here as well. It's funny you told that story in the beginning how we met, and it's fun. We actually met at William Patterson. You came in to do a workshop there, and I was an adult student. I was the oldest student in the
Oh,
music program there. Remember that?
that's right. Were you doing your
What else?
masters or something?
No, I was finishing my BA, believe it or not, because I was one of those musicians that left his hometown to come to New York, with dreams and aspirations. And I just left school at the same time, so I decided to go back and finish. And you came in with Joe Piscopo, and
Oh yeah,
because I was a student, I had the drum chair, and that's when we
that's
met.
right. And I remember noticing that you were a left-handed drummer, but your setup was the same,
It's strange because
basically.
I sign checks with my right hand, and I
Really?
and I eat with my left hand. So I guess I'm what you would call ambidextrous.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go. All right,
one.
I like your right hand better.
Yeah, me too.
You can sign all the checks to me you want.
Exactly. What's funny? One memory that I have from that day is that it was a great concert, and Joe, he is just amazing. And during the performance, they put up a screen in the back, and they start playing some clips from Saturday Night Live.
Right,
I've been
right.
watching since it began, 45 years ago, and I was so intrigued by it. I think it was the Ebony and Ivory section, and I was just laughing, and I missed my cue. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks. We see him again.
That's one of those hark I hear the cannons roar, right?
Exactly.
Right? You know that joke where the guy gets a prime starring, not starring, but he gets a line on a Broadway show, and the line is "Hark, I hear the cannons roar." So he goes for days rehearsing it. Hark, I hear the cannons roar. Hark, I hear the cannons roar. Hark, I hear the cannons roar. Trying to figure out how he's going to say it, right, and really like make his whole day. And it comes to the performance, and he's on stage, and suddenly you hear this big cannon roar, boom, and he said, "What the heck was that?"
I love it. That was one of those moments, believe me.
Right, 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 right. No, you did fine. I remember that. Now that you mentioned it. So, tell me about Arts for Kids for a second. That's interesting, and in fact, we bonded over that a few times at one of our barbecues, I think.
Which I miss so much. I wish we could have one right now.
Me too. It's coming up to Labor Day when we usually have our barbecue, and I'm so sad that we can't do it.
Oh my. So Arts for Kids, my wife and I founded Arts for Kids in 2000. We were both artists, musicians, struggling, and we were working for various organizations and realized that we had a talent for writing grants. And we also knew a lot of artists who were really high level that weren't getting any work as teaching artists. And that, a teaching artist is someone who is a professional artist, not necessarily a day-to-day school teacher in the arts, but someone who travels, who writes books, who has a dance school. They may be a choreographer, they may be a musician like myself,
Hmm.
with CDs available. And we knew all these folks who were really talented that we wanted to share their art with the children that we were encountering in the schools, which were primarily in Title I, really challenged areas. We were living in Paterson, New Jersey, in artist housing at the time. And, just a side note about Paterson, is one of the few places, even now, that there's 14,000 kids that don't have access to a computer to actually go online and do their schoolwork. So we knew that we had a whole coalition of these artists who could really share their abilities, and we decided to just become founders of the organizations. Our organization, rather. I wrote the 501c3, and we just went to work, and we haven't stopped. We're still going. I mean, just last month we provided 33 remote learning classes in the arts in 4 counties in New Jersey,
Yeah,
uh, over the course of the last 4 weeks.
there you
So
go.
we're moving, and we really enjoy this work. I feel like it's my way of giving back for the opportunities that I've been given through this music.
That's fantastic. We're on our 6th week of summer camp, and I commiserate because, boy, it's not easy.
No,
Suddenly we're in a whole new world of teaching, right?
yeah, and everyone's learning as we go along.
Yep,
I mean, that's and as improvisers, we
that's
like
right.
it's a challenge and we love it. We love to see what works, and what doesn't work, we just gravitate to the other angle. We just take that other fork and we keep moving. It's just a wonderful thing, and I think that we've adapted well. And I'm just hopeful that all of the children that we encounter can actually have access to the programs that we're offering, such as yours and our organization, and the many wonderful organizations that in the state of New Jersey. So we're committed.
Well, we talked about it before, but we really should talk some more this time and make it happen about collaborating on some projects and seeing what we can do together.
I'd love to, love to.
It's interesting. I hired a an actual teacher, a real like third grade teacher, not a music teacher, an actual grade teacher, um, as part of our team for this summer camp because I figured she'll know what she's doing, and she can bring a certain amount of organization into it. And sure enough, she's the one that's lesson plan. What are we going to do next? And what happens then? And we're like, well, we can improvise. We'll play this way. Or she says, no, you need to have a lesson plan, which I appreciate because it really helped out.
Sure, that's
But
excellent.
there's a lot to consider that's very different teaching online and in person.
It's funny. I was fortunate because when the semester was abruptly canceled at Princeton, I teach my lessons. I'm a lecturer there. Technically, I'm a lecturer, which means that I'm part time. I go in and I teach private students. I teach
Hmm.
them jazz percussion, drum lessons, and I'm an advisor, and I do certain administrative duties that pertain to that. So when we pivoted right away, they gave us these Zoom accounts and they said keep going, and we're just thrown out there to continue what we're doing. Fortunately, as you know, a lot of musicians are pretty technically savvy and not afraid to really use these devices to move their work forward. And all of a sudden, it opened up a new door. I'm teaching my student now. He's in Taiwan. He's 12 hours ahead. So I'm waking up at 7 a.m. so that I can give him a lesson at 7 p.m. his time. I have one in Chicago. I have one in Maryland, and it just actually got me to thinking, this is not that bad. We can actually reach more folks if we embrace this technology. So that's what I'm trying to do now, and just being mindful of the lessons that I'm teaching. There is something missing, of course, because you don't have the human contact, and I think that we really need that, and that's something that's really creating a lot of stress for a lot of children of all ages. If anyone's on the call now that has school age children, you can see that they're going through a little trauma as well. So, um, we're just trying to move forward, stay hopeful, and continue this thing until it's over. And maybe when it is over, we've developed another model that we can add to our tool belt, for lack of another word. So
I
I'm
think you're
excited.
I think you're really onto something. We had talked about that same thing over here, that this is something that could carry forward and essentially enlarge the reach.
Absolutely.
So you're right. You're right on that. I just wish the technology wasn't so challenging, shall we say? Because as I'm sure you've found out that everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it goes wrong once; it'll happen again, no matter what you do, right?
Sure. I actually heard today that Zoom was down for a while, so I was concerned that I wouldn't even be able to show up tonight. Did you hear
Oh
that?
wow, I no, but that explains some things. Wow. No, we were on pretty much all day on Zoom, but there was some quirks in it here and there. Wow. Um, so you are a master musician as well, and I just think we should delve in and play one of the clips at least,
Oh,
and get the ball rolling musically. Melissa has all the clips. Melissa is has graduated, um, and she'll be attending University of Vermont probably next week, I guess, or maybe already.
congrats.
Although
Yeah, next week.
although although virtually, no doubt. Um, and she helps us out, and she'll play the whatever clip you ask her for. What do you think, Vince?
Maybe one of those short ones, the
Mm-hmm.
renewal of the spirit. This is should I explain it before or after?
Sure, sure, go
Oh,
for it.
this when we recorded a theme for Miss P, I decided to take video while we were in there, and so this is an outtake from one of the tracks that's featured on the CD that's behind me.
This is the recording studio.
Yes, this is at Tedesco Recording Studio. So this is actually live when we made the recording. It's a 2-minute clip, so it's not that long.
There you go. Thunderous applause.
you, you notice we had to wait. We always have to wait at the end because you
I
always
saw you holding your
quiet.
breath.
You're like, safe. So if anyone's never seen the actual recording process, they basically lock us in this space that has a limited amount of air. They mic us up. Sometimes we eat, sometimes we don't eat, and we cannot come out until we finish the recording. Sometimes it lasts one day, sometimes it lasts two or multiple days. But that particular date was a 1 day event. So we weren't going to leave until it was finished.
You may have noticed Bruce Williams in there. Bruce is a great friend of ours and has been our principal instructor at the Jazz Arts Academy for many years.
We go way back. So yeah,
Great
Bruce.
player.
That's Paul Bolin back on guitar, and it's also Pat Bianchi on organ. And yeah, we're really proud of it. It came out really well. That's actually a remake. This tune, I recorded that on my second CD, Renewal of the Spirit, and at the time it featured Bobby Watson on saxophones.
Oh yeah.
And that CD, I didn't think that it really got as much notoriety as it should have. You know, with different labels, as you know, Mooch. Sometimes you get support, sometimes you don't. That one didn't get too much support. So I would play this on live concerts and I got a really good response. So I decided, let's just do it over.
Absolutely.
Renewal Revisited. And
there you go.
Revisited it.
You're allowed. It's your tune. Jeez.
Yeah. And I also want to guitar on there. So we were able to do that.
We have, I guess, a comment. Glenn Pulak. Oh, a question. What kind of symbol is on the far right in that clip?
Oh, let's see. What my right if I'm sitting behind the kit, or your right watching it?
What do you say, Glenn?
On your right.
Okay, that was
like little dishes on top, like it's kind of cool.
Oh, okay, right. That's an 18-inch K, and it has a little device on it. That's a what they call a what do they call that? It was new at the time. I got that at the factory.
Spiral
something that they threw in. Say, oh, just try this out. And a lot of folks, they use it. I don't know if you've seen drummers. Can you see my hand? Yeah. And it hangs down, and they usually play it. It can hang down a few feet. I decided to just put it on top to give a sizzle effect. And then when I don't want it, I can take it off of the cymbal if I don't put the nut on top. So that's like an effect cymbal, very small. I wish I had known you were going to ask that. I'd bring it down for you so you can see.
Yeah. What's it called? What's it called, though?
It's written on there. I don't know. If I have a chance to run upstairs for 30 seconds, I'll let you know before I leave.
So,
okay.
We'll play a clip. Maybe we'll play another clip. You can do that.
I can do it. Yeah.
But you know what? We're getting into the weeds of drumming because we have yet another of our graduating seniors. Ben, I think you know Ben Fig.
Where's Ben? Hey,
who's
Ben.
asking what kind of? Wait a minute. He's asking, are those Evans Onyx heads?
Yes, they are. Extremely hard to get. Extremely hard to get. I actually found them last month at some place, and I think it was Indiana, and they still weren't the same. So I'm going to put the new ones on and see. Hopefully, they'll have that good sound. They're very difficult. I don't know why. Ralph Peterson turned me onto those heads.
Yeah, me too. I saw him using those.
They're great for Mapex drums. They just work. And another good friend, Rocky Bryant, he actually gave me a set of his. I've been trying to connect with Evans. Siri's talking. Don't ignore her, please. I have one of those Siri speakers, and every now and then she talks to me without.
I know. I had the same thing.
You have that? Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, Ben, that's they're really nice, but they're hard to get. So good luck if you're trying to find them.
Ben also has the answer to that question. He says it's called a Zildjian spiral slacker.
Is that what it's called, Ben?
Or stacker, maybe stacker.
Spiral stacker. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm just disappointed that I didn't grab two of them when I was at the factory because I love it.
So, folks, you want to know any other esoteric things about drums? I'm kidding. Of course, you would attract some drummers to this. Tell me about I heard from a good source that you actually had a gig recently, one of the few on the planet.
Yeah, but actually, we've been doing these streams from my yard for tips. Like you said, you were talking about Yo-Yo Ma with the tip jar. He's not the only one. So we were fortunate. We decided to just start playing in my backyard. My daughters are here with me now, and a lot of the musicians that I run in circles with actually live within 10 minutes of my home. So we decided to just, mask up and go out in the backyard and just play music. And the first one was actually for a fundraiser I did on Facebook for my birthday. Every year I do a fundraiser, and it was like a reward for those who had donated. So I said, let's just do a birthday concert, which we did. It was great. So we decided to do another one. We were asked by the Blue Note to do a stream for their club that they streamed across, their platforms around the world on Facebook and Instagram. So that was two. And then we did a third one for the Montclair Jazz Festival. It's a wonderful organization that's run by also Jazz House Kids, Melissa Walker and Christian McBride. So those were three streams. So finally I get a call. Do you want to make this gig social distance? The tables will be far apart. We're thinking about it. Everyone's nervous. Okay, why not? The best thing I could have done. Dave Stryker called me to do this concert. And it was just, you don't realize how much you miss this spiritually when you don't perform with other human beings. It's
Yep.
one thing to practice. And we've been doing a lot of that. That's all I've been doing. And it was just such a joy to play with other musicians and just feel the energy from the audience, because we get all that from the audience. I think the worst thing that I'm not used to now in this new, should we call it a pandemic musical era, is that you don't get any feedback. So you're streaming shows and no one's there, no one claps, no one boos, whatever. I'll take a boo at this point. So it's something's missing there. So long story short, it was good to actually spend time with other human beings and play music together. I really, really recharged my battery. So
That's
thanks,
great.
Stryker.
Yeah, Stryker was here a couple of weeks ago on this Zoom,
Was
and he had mentioned that you guys had the gig coming up.
And then we did another one with Brandon McCune, who also works with you.
That's right.
Last Friday, and that was just amazing. We had a great
Yep.
Kenny Davis on bass, Bruce Williams again on saxophone, Freddie Hendrix on trumpet, and just really held my spirit up. So I need another one. Does anyone have one?
Yeah, maybe we'll work something out down here, man.
Yeah.
It's time for us to do something down here, I guess.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's difficult. It's difficult talking the venues into doing it.
Yeah, the towns. I understand there's issues with the towns and
Yep.
the amount of people that can come. There's a problem, and hopefully this will be resolved before it gets too cold. I think we have about 2 months left before we
Right.
have to go inside. So
Right.
I'm hoping.
I'm going to give you this for free, since you said half of it. So I'm going to give you the title of your next tune. Ready?
Yes.
Mask Up, Mash Up. Ben's shaking his head. He hates my corny jokes,
We'll write that down.
but I kind of like it. Mask Up, Mash Up.
Yeah.
It's popular. It's topic. Ben hates it.
Thumbs up or thumbs down, Ben?
Down. Anyway, so what about one of those other clips that we can throw in there and listen to?
Let's see. What do we have here? Let's do a live one. Okay. We have, I think I put one of the Randy Weston clips in there. I was fortunate enough to work with Randy Weston for many years, NEA Jazz Master,
Yeah.
and who recently passed just a few years ago. And we actually did his last shows in New York at the Jazz Standard. This is a clip from a festival in Europe called Jazz Middelheim. It's in Belgium, and it runs for a few days. And you get to really see a lot of other world-class acts there. I actually met the late Tony Allen the last time I played it with Randy. This was the first time that we went with the James Reese Europe project. James Reese Europe was he was the first African American musician to play Carnegie Hall. He had a band called the Harlem Hellfighters, and this band, they were a military band. Myself being a former Army bandsman, I can relate to it. They actually fought in World War One in France. And when we went to Marciac during this period that this band was working, and we met the descendants of the soldiers that fought alongside of them in
Oh
World War
wow.
One. Yeah, and none of those troops were killed. They would fight during the day and they would play music at night. So they were called the Harlem Hellfighters. And so this is an excerpt from a suite of music that Randy wrote and produced that pays honor to those troops. And I think this one is called Waltz for James Reese Europe. Yeah,
Yeah, guy.
great memory.
You know, there's a sign of a musician's musician. He chose a clip that he's barely on. He's playing, but you don't see him. So this is not about vanity, guys. This is actually about music. It's deep. It's great, man.
And Randy, he was
Kudos.
a teacher. He was such a teacher. So and just the the historical aspect of the music. He was always just teaching us so much. So it was a really big loss, when he passed. And they had his service at St. John the Divine in New York City, and there was about 3,000 people. It was amazing. It, it's funny to think about it now. We can't get together. 25 of us can't get together. This place was packed. I mean, everyone who was anyone in the arts. I mean, Danny Glover was a good friend of his. He spoke beautifully, and it was just amazing. So I wanted to throw that in there because he was a large portion of my career. I mean, I couldn't have done a lot of the things that I'm actually doing now had it not been for Randy Weston and many others. So yeah,
That is, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. I did notice the banjo, though, I have to say.
yeah.
I
It's
mean, that's going back to the African roots, right?
exactly. That's what made it so special. And did you notice that Howard Johnson was on that concert too?
I saw that. Wow.
Yeah. So we got to travel with Howard, and it was just an amazing time. We actually did that festival twice. That was just the first time that we presented that music. The last time we were there, we did a different program dedicated to Thelonious Monk, and I have some of that. I should have pulled that out for you, but we could continue out. Maybe the next time I'll bring that out for you because I have some footage from backstage where he plays alone for a few minutes while we wait for him, and
That's cool.
it was jaw dropping to say the least.
Yeah, maybe it'd be interesting to have like a whole band on the Zoom at once, and we won't be able to play together because of the latency issues. But it might be interesting the banter and the stories.
You have to block out a few hours because some of the Zooms that I've been on with musicians, they go 3 hours plus. So
I hear that. I hear that. Listen, somebody in the chat room, in the chat list said, which 4 counties and where are you based? You mentioned you left your hometown to go to New York City to pursue music. Can you share a little bit about that?
yes, I'm from South Philadelphia, the land of the soft pretzel and the cheesesteak.
There you go. It's the city of brotherly love, right?
Yeah, I grew up within walking distance of JFK Stadium where they held the Live Aid concert. I lived so close that I sat on my step. I couldn't afford that ticket at the time. I was younger, and I could actually feel the subwoofers coming from the stadium when they held Live Aid. That's how close my mother lived. She actually still lives in this house in South Philly. So yeah, I grew up in Philly. It's funny, I went to a school, a music magnet school called GAMP, started by a man named Jack Carr, and they have their own building now. I believe that was one of the first charter schools because we were part of the first class. So we were third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, and we would take theory and harmony during the school day, math, science, English. And on the weekends, they would rent a school bus and they would take us to Temple University to take classes in music. And then I guess they were the music education students would come to our school and they would be the teaching assistants. So it was a real unique program. And I think in the back of my mind, it kind of planted a seed for me to start Arts for Kids because I was exposed to it at such a young age. And as you know, Philadelphia, I mean, the Philadelphia sound, David Bowie recorded in Philadelphia. That studio, I could walk to that studio, Sigma Sound, from my house. So we had a lot of music. And I didn't even get to the jazz greats who came out of Philadelphia. I mean, the Heath brothers, they went to school with my parents.
Wow.
Yeah,
How about that?
yeah, man. So, I mean, you had Mickey Roker, you had, Bobby Durham, you had Lee Moore, you had all these people coming from Bobby Timmons, from Philadelphia. So there was a rich history there. So, anyway, I decided that eventually I would come to New York, but I wasn't ready. So I honed my skills there. And one day I just woke up and decided, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to New York, and that's where I need to go to climb to the next level. And I packed up my things and I sold the other things and I came here, and I've been here for 25 years now. What was this?
Well, you came to the right place.
I did. What was the second part? It was a second part to that. I didn't read the question. Maybe I should look into the chat.
Which four counties and where are you
Okay.
based? I have a
Yes.
feeling that has to do with the nonprofit.
Okay. So we're based in Essex County. We're in West Orange, New Jersey. So we provided the services. We do a lot of work in Passaic County. We did Hudson County. We did Essex County, and we did some work in Union County. But that was all virtual. Those organizations are based there. So in a normal situation, well, we can't call it normal anymore, but let's say a year ago, we would have actually gone to these sites and provided these workshops for these organizations in the schools, mostly schools. Some are boys and girls clubs, but we work primarily in schools. That's why it was really a shock, when this whole COVID thing hit. It really hit us hard, in our last quarter, because some schools rather just weren't able to pivot fast enough. And of course, Mooch, that, the arts, they're below, you have the school, then you have sports, and then you have the arts. So we're the last man on the totem poles. So we lost a lot of opportunities when this happened, but we're rebuilding now. So those were the four counties that we provided the workshops to.
Yeah, it always like didn't make sense to me how a school system can spend $3 million on an astroturf for the football field
Yeah,
and cut the music program budget
yeah,
at the same time.
exactly. You look at your own life. I mean, I look at my life, and had there not been a music program in my school, who knows? I wouldn't be sitting here. I'm sure I wouldn't be. I mean, I know a lot of kids that I grew up with. They didn't make it. They just didn't make it. So, uh, I hold it in high regard, and not just music, the arts. I mean, we do visual. We have visual artists. We have dancers. We have folks that do music tech. They do videography. We do Brazilian drumming. We do African drumming. We do Latin dance. We do tap dance. we we do drama. We do trauma informed drama classes, playwriting, acting, uh, collage, photography. The list goes on and on. So we don't limit it to just one art form. We try to find the best of the best in each particular art form, and we expose the kids to them, because a lot of times, you know, the the children don't have an opportunity to work with someone who actually has made a living doing this type of work. It's very challenging. I mean, they have their certain teachers that they see each day, but for someone to come from the outside world and say, hey, I went to school and I went to college for this. I love this so much, and I actually am a practicing artist. I'm making a living doing this. And if those kids have aspirations to do something like that, then what a better example. It's right there in front of you. It's great. So that's what we really are all about, and providing these opportunities for children. And if they don't choose to go into the arts, so what? I mean, all of the data shows that they're higher performing anyway. I mean, music and math. I mean, the list goes on. I don't want to go too far into that, but there's data to prove the outcomes of arts learning. So, we're all about it.
Yeah, you're dead on with that. I mean, the arts are so much more than just showing our human side, and proving our humanness, and our cultural awareness.
Yeah.
It literally saves lives, as you pointed out.
Guilty as charged. Hey,
And that's why we do it. And not everybody has to become a professional musician,
no.
certainly, or art professional artists. But we're creating audiences as well at the same time.
Yeah, I missed that. Yeah, that's another thing, Mooch. I mean, just the appreciation for the arts. I mean, it's what you're doing down there is fantastic. I mean, I remember coming and playing a couple of those concerts, indoors and outdoors. You actually you have a few series going on down there, and just seeing how your audience treats you and your organization. I mean, it was great. The volunteers that were involved, the folks that came out to enjoy the music. I was just really humbled by it, actually. So yes, that's extremely important, extremely, because without no audience, there's no artist. We can't do this in our homes by ourselves. Obviously, we can see that now.
That's nice. That is nice to hear. I've always been very proud of my of the audience that came to see our shows. That they were, they were willing to stretch themselves and hear things that maybe are a little bit on the edge or something, but they were, you know, always willing to listen and appreciate the artistry that we were presenting. So I'm very proud of that for sure, and I'm glad we through the years had the opportunity to have you down with various groups and venues, and I promise we'll do it again.
Yay! I can't wait. I see a lot of questions in the chat down here. Should I check them? Let's see.
Yes, if you
Okay.
would.
Okay, we got that. Oh, someone is asking how TK Blue is doing. He actually called me yesterday. I don't know if he's watching, but I'm going to call you tonight. He's doing really well. He always checks in with me. Once a week we talk, and TK is doing a few things virtually, and also I think he broadcasts something from his garden. He has a garden behind his house, and so he's doing really well. Whoever is that, Lynn, that asked the question? Yes, I'll tell
Yeah,
him.
Lynn Mueller.
Yeah, I'll tell him that you say hello, Lynn, for sure. Yeah, he's a wonderful composer as well. TK, I love his music. I threatened him once that I was going to record one of his tunes. I still will, but it's funny when you have friends like that are such strong composers. It makes you real subconscious about the stuff that you write. TK is one of those people to me. He really writes beautiful, beautiful, well-crafted tunes. And if you have a pencil, you might want to write that down. He's someone that you can look up. And I'm actually featured on his latest CD as well. I don't
Of
have the
course
title.
you are.
Yeah, it should be on my site, but that was produced and that was dedicated to Randy Weston. So check that out too if you want some really good music. And I think there's about 20 tunes on that record. He really writes. He writes a lot. So
So Vince, you were in at Fort Bliss.
yes,
I was down
Oh.
there.
were you?
I did some concert for the troops down there. I was transported on a C-130 all the way to Fort Bliss. And the entire way, all they said was, you got to stay hydrated. You got to stay in, it was so hot down there. I think it was like 110 the day I was there.
Yeah, that's the desert. That I did my basic there as well. I think it's the First Air Defense Artillery Brigade. That's where they learn how to fire Stinger missiles and anti-aircraft missiles, and it's so hot. And what they would do, they would take the band, and we would take a bus. We were within driving distance of White Sands Missile Range. So we would go up to White Sands Missile Range, which is not open to civilians, and we would play these change of command ceremonies all the time. And the sand was really white. It was just beautiful there, but so hot. So I did my basic there. Oh my goodness!
Holy cow! I could not believe how anybody was, could live out there day to day. It was nuts.
Strong. I loved it. I wish I had stayed longer, because those musicians that I met there, it's funny, I finished basic training and I left that area and I went to a different area of the base and I became a corporal that day. And I went back the next week and played the graduation ceremony for the next group of basic trainees. And all of my drill instructors were there. And man, they laid into me. How'd you get that rank, you Ector? It was great. It was fantastic. So
when were you there?
In the 80s. I was there in the 80s. Yeah, late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, that was before I was down there, certainly.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. And fond memories. I wish I could have stayed. I really liked the weather. They used to tell us, don't go to Juarez. That was the thing to do. You could walk to Juarez, Mexico from there, from El Paso.
Yeah, you're getting in trouble. You're getting real trouble down there.
They would go anyway. But it was quite an experience. I really enjoyed my time there, especially the musicians I met who were really just strong. Imagine, that's your job every day. That's all you do. You wake up, you do your roll call, you eat, you might do PT that day, and then you just play music. So these guys were really strong musicians.
Wow.
Sure. I
Yeah.
heard it at one point. Um, I forget during what period, but the army band was the contingent that was earmarked to be the ones that carried the bodies.
Yeah, that's your secondary MOS. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, wow, playing music during and then having to get up and carry bodies around.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know who thought of that, but I guess, again, the arts down on the totem pole.
Exactly right. Exactly right. What else? What else have these guys got to do? Let them do it.
But yeah, good times, good times. Long time ago. A long time ago.
Yeah, but I'm sure it was good training.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was in the best shape of my life, and it actually carried over into my adulthood because, even now, I mean, I go to the gym, I train, I weight lift. We have a treadmill here in the house. It's important for me, and it also the instrument demands it. I mean, as a drummer, Ben knows if there's any other drummers here. You are. Oh, there's Zach. Hey, Zach, how you doing, man?
Hey,
Yeah.
Vince, how's it
There's
going?
nothing but drummers here tonight.
Yeah, Zach. Zach is one of my students as well, man. Doing really
know.
well.
Us drummers gotta stick
Who
together.
else? Yeah, wonderful. I just noticed there's a lot of screens here, so excuse me.
Fine. I really wanted to say, thank you so much for everything how you've affected my life. It's really, really incredible. I'm missing Hat City right now a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And it's incredible watching your daughter's journey also. It's really, really that's some
Girl.
serious stuff,
Yeah, she's a star now, my oldest. It's funny. I really appreciate you saying that, Zach, because that's why I do what I do. I mean, this is
Thank you so
to
much.
see you now. I mean, you actually went to college and you have a degree in music and you study with Victor Lewis and then you're teaching all these kids. Now you can take that example. So not only did I affect your life, I probably have a few hundred more down the road.
Exactly.
For me, that's what it's about.
You got your fingers in the pie, Vince.
Yes,
In fact, I have to tell you that Zach is working with us, the Jazz Arts Project.
Oh,
He's our education coordinator for the academy.
lovely, wonderful, fantastic. You're the right person, Mooch. Congrats, Zach.
Thank you so much.
He brought up my daughter. So my daughter, for those of you that don't know, all of my kids are musicians as well. My oldest, she graduated from USC last June with a bachelor's of music, and she was fortunate to study with Patrice Rushen and the great Ndugu Chancellor, who's no longer with us. And then she got a gig. So in November, I went to Saturday Night Live to see her perform after watching it on TV for 45 years. So that was quite an experience. So she is in the pop world and she's touring. Actually, now she's supposed to be opening for Harry Styles in Europe. And of course, that got canceled or pushed up. So that's going to happen 2021. So she's here with me now, and we're making music, and we're actually doing the recordings for my youngest daughter, who's 17, a rising senior. We're doing her college audition recordings now because she wants to go and study music. So they can't get away from it. I tried to talk them into law and medicine, and they wouldn't listen, Mooch. So
Yeah, I hear you.
more coming. So
I can tell you though, but based on this experience we're in now, and based on what you need $50,000-$60,000 a year now to get an education these days. I mean, that's kind of ludicrous.
Yeah.
So for a musician to come out of school in that kind of debt, it's kind of crazy. So
Yeah.
a lot of the advice is we've got to learn all these things we're learning now about technology, how to edit your own videos, how to do audio mixing, and all that stuff. That's all going to come in handy because you're not going to be able to afford to hire somebody to do your music.
No,
Right?
no, not at all.
So you need to pick up those skills as well in terms of what skills you need to carry on a career if that's the way you're going.
Absolutely. It's funny. McKaylee, the youngest, she actually works for us with Arts for Kids, and she does our video and our social media, and she yeah, she's the one behind. Actually, she's doing exactly what you see on the screens for us. Like if you go to the site and you see these compilations of videos, she does all of that. Now she wants to get us into what did she say? See, I'm a Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram person. Anything beyond that and YouTube, I don't understand. But there's something new. I want to say it's TikTok. I don't think so, but there's a way to monetize in this particular platform that they want to experiment with. And I'm open for it. So they're definitely ahead of the curve, and we want to follow their lead as well. And I'm teaching her about it, holding on to her money, accounting, and when I'm doing things that are business related, I try to involve them as much as possible so that they can really learn. Because as artists in the 21st century, we're entrepreneurs. I mean, you have to do your taxes, you have to deal with that, you have to pay your bills, you have to do your accounting, you have to know what's coming in, you have to hold on to your 1099s and your W2s, and there's a lot that goes along with it. And if you don't stay on top of it, you can find yourself in a big hole real quick. So I like to stress those particular things. And I think that was why I did the music management track when I went to school. I felt that every musician should have that. I mean, you get law, you get classes in entertainment law, copyright, marketing, international marketing. And I just couldn't understand why every music program didn't offer that as a
especially
core curriculum.
especially if you're going to be a leader. You're going to be
Yeah.
a band leader. You need all these things. You need to know how to do a payroll and how to do 1099s and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And contracts.
Contract laws. You have to know it, because imagine all the artists in our history who signed these really bad deals because they just didn't know what the language meant. Can you imagine?
Amazing number of people,
Yeah,
numbers like that. Yeah.
and I'm not. It's not funny to me, but it's just like what I mean. I'm just amazed because a lot of people got taken advantage of it, and looking at now, just the little bit of revenue that we can generate, being artists, and a lot of us put our own material out, and that's important. We can keep control of it, but we also can control how much of the revenue comes back to us. For me personally, that's been a lifeline the past 6 months. I mean, when COVID hit, I mean, basically everything. I was going to be in China for two
Yeah.
weeks,
It's shut down. Oh,
Africa, Argentina. I mean, and as you know, those types of gigs, those are mortgage paying gigs. That's not a ShopRite gig. That's a mortgage gig, and everything just disappears. So just having a little bit of control of that revenue coming in from my recordings helped a lot, through Sound Exchange and other aggregators.
certainly.
So
Well,
important. So all of you musicians that are listening, if you're performing on recordings, you make sure you sign up for Sound Exchange. Publish your music, get your copyrights in order. Do that first. Everything else is secondary. Okay? I see some head shaking. Okay, good.
speaking of monetizing,
Yeah,
I got to do our commercial,
sure.
and the organization that is putting these on, for those of maybe who do not know, is called the Jazz Arts Project. That's my organization. I'm an artistic director for that organization and founder as well. We have in the past done about 25 to 30 events, live concert events every year, and we had year-round music education programs for area youth. We are still doing the education programs, although virtually. We've been kind of shut down with the live events. We will attend to that again, but the organization still, has its expenses. Of course, even the online courses cost money, so we still have to fundraise, and it's more and more difficult, of course, as you can imagine, to do these days. So, keep us in mind when you're thinking about your donation dollars, and we certainly will appreciate it. Many of you, I know from the names, have already donated, and we thank you really graciously. And really, that's our lifeline as an organization. When we get back together in person, our live events were always the catalyst for raising money. So all the proceeds from all those live events went to our education programs. So when we get back to that, we'll get back to all of it. But in the meanwhile, we're doing the best we can. I think Jacqueline has put up the links for our donation page and our website in the chat room. So if you could check it out, and either join us, sign up for our mailing list if you're not on already, and send a donation if you can see fit. I will say that, but I will also invite Vince to put up the information about his Arts for Kids program as well.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, here we go.
While he's doing that, we're pretty much running about the time, and
okay, everyone. Sorry. Here we go.
yeah, you have to hit everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Gotcha.
There it is.
Thank you, Mooch.
My pleasure. It's all one big happy arts family, and I hope that we can coordinate some projects together.
I'd love to. Looking forward to it. I need something to do.
Oh, we can come up with something.
Yeah, man.
You and I will get together. We can make some trouble.
My drums, I'm actually going to start charging them rent because they're just sitting around now, and it's getting to be a problem. So whatever you have, it's good.
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah, I'm going to put my site there as well in case anyone wants to pick up any of these CDs or
yeah, please do that for sure.
Digital recordings. The latest one is available in digital format from me or on my website. The website is actually Bandcamp. So it's one of those sites where you pay what you want to pay for the CD. Actually, I had it here, but I'm gonna reach down. I knocked everything down. So this is the latest one. The other ones you can still get, the Organatomy and the Rhythm Master, but you'd have to write me in my email. You can email me from the site.
One of them is right behind you.
Yeah, that's the latest one. Can you see that one? Yeah, good. All right. And I'll sign them and I'll get that out to you.
Nice.
If you're interested.
Very nice.
Okay, so man, this was so fulfilling for me tonight. I really, as you know, Mooch, sometimes you can get a little depressed with all this stuff going on, not being able to play music. I really feel that it's a strong part of who we are spiritually. And when we're not able to practice that, it's almost like, not going to worship. If you're a worshiping person, you're missing something. So for artists now, the little something that's missing right now, and just being able to talk about it has been refreshing, and I truly appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Vince, I'm so glad that you're refreshing to us as well, to connect with an artist like yourself. It's certainly fantastic. Everybody, if you want, unmute yourself. Let's give Vince a nice round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
And as is our custom, we're going to close down the official proceedings in a minute and close down I guess we have a Facebook feed and all that, and I'll turn off the recording. And as our usual custom, we have an after gig hang. We can hang a little bit further and talk at will for a little while. So if anybody wants to hang and chat, please feel free to do so. But thanks so much. Thank you to our donors and to our sponsors. I certainly appreciate that, and I appreciate you your attendance as well, because really, without you guys as an audience and as friends of the organization, we wouldn't be much. So thank you so much.